So we're joined by real estate professionals, multi-entrepreneur, Dwanna Stanley. We thank you so much for joining us today. We got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson High School. This is our personal finance class. We're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central, Germantown High School, Ridgeland High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for taking some time to join us out of your busy schedule today.
No problem. The pleasure is all mine.
Now, obviously, we have a couple of things to talk about, and I think it's so cool all the things you've been involved in. But just give us a little bit of background. You are from Greenwood, up in the Delta, so just give us a little background about your education and how you started getting into real estate.
So I'm from Greenwood, Mississippi. I graduated high school in 2000. I moved to Jackson May of 2000, like 2 days after I graduated. I went to Jackson State. I was a cheerleader at Jackson State. My sophomore year, I did become pregnant with my daughter. I took a couple of years off to just be a mom, and I ended up finishing my studies at Mississippi College. I have my bachelor's in business administration. After I finished that, I got into property management for a little while, and I did property management actually for 11 years. It was hard for me to get a promotion. I was multi-site managers, executive managers. My goal was to be a regional manager. And when they didn't promote me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to open my own property management company and just manage properties for myself. In the state of Mississippi, in order to be a property manager, you have to become a real estate professional. So
Oh,
I obtained my real estate license, yeah, while I was still working full time at the as a property multi-site manager. I had a boutique at the time. I had a storefront in Pearl, Mississippi, and I was doing resumes on the side. And I got my license in 2013. And then, so in 2014, I became super focused. I was like, okay, hey, I think I just want to focus on real estate. I worked my business plan. And then December 2015, I closed my boutique. I stopped doing everything else and went all in with being a real estate professional.
wow.
And yes, I did that for 3 years as a full-time real estate professional. And then in December of 2018, I opened my own real estate firm, the Agency House.
Wow. Now a lot of things to talk about there, but the first thing I want to talk about is you talked about you did resume consulting, and we spent pretty much the first 9 weeks of this class talking about resumes and career development, interview skills, and things of that nature. So you really helped people get resumes ready. So first of all, even though kids never want to believe me, how easy is it for a resume to get in the no pile if it has a few mistakes or any mistakes that is on there that I'm trying to think how to word this. How easy for is it for a resume to be thrown in the no pile when an employer sees a resume that has mistakes on it?
It is very easy. And the reason why I started doing resumes is because in property management, I was having to interview a lot of people, groundskeeper, maintenance guys, leasing consultants, assistant managers. And when I would get the resumes in, I was like, oh my God, from the email addresses alone were absolutely horrible. So a lot of times managers and bosses, they pay a lot of attention to your email address. It was like one eye Peter at gmail.com. So they had the craziest email names. And a lot of times they didn't mention exactly what they did, the skills that they displayed. And a lot of times when you're going after certain jobs, you need to ensure that the verbiage that you're using in the resume is matching the job that you're going to go after.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Everybody has said that, but everybody always thinks I'm joking. Um, because I always say, no matter what job you're applying for, if you show that you can write and can be
Correct.
good written communication, a lot of employers are like, look, I can probably train this person to do a lot of things if they can be a great communicator.
Correct. That's correct. 100% correct. They will give you a chance. 100%.
Yeah, and it's never been easier. When me and you are the same age. We didn't have these free resume templates that are available online now. There are so many guides and so many free resume templates that I encourage everybody to really make use of that will really help format. It'll format your resume correctly and really show some things that need to be highlighted.
Correct. And a lot of kids, they don't understand like a lot of the organizations and the clubs that you join in high school, it really makes a difference. So joining, I tell my daughter all the time, she never wanted to listen, but joining clubs and organizations makes a difference when you have a resume, especially if it's your first time going for an level position. It will make a world of a difference if they knew that you were on the yearbook club or on the SGA or the debate team. All of those things makes a difference when you are completing your resume.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I always have kids say, "Well, I've never worked anywhere." That's fine. You can still be involved in things that show leadership qualities. Even if you
Correct.
babysit people on we have a lot of big families up here in Camden. If you're babysitting your cousins and your little siblings, that shows responsibility. If you're helping cut
Correct.
grass, that shows responsibility. So you can highlight things like that on a resume. So, again, I think that's so cool you did that, and I just cannot hit on that enough when it comes to these guests. I just think it's so important for these kids to understand the importance of having a strong resume out of high school.
Correct. Very is this correct. And then it helps with college as well. You want to make sure you continue to college with these same organizations and try to get like one of those positions as a treasurer or a secretary or the president. Just go after it. And it looks amazing on your resume. Because if you can juggle all these things in high school and you still have a 3.0 GPA, or you can juggle these things in college and you can still have a 3.0 GPA, it shows that you're responsible and that you're dependable. So those things make a difference.
Big time. Now, obviously, your sweet spot now is real estate, and it's such a hot topic. You see it all over social media now. All these new articles coming out about the need for more Black home ownership, the need for more
Yeah.
minority home ownership. So, what are some things that you think are misunderstood? Because I have kids all the time say, "I want to buy a big house. I want to buy XYZ. I want to have rental properties. I want to invest," but they don't understand any of the things that go into it when it comes to the financing side of it. So just talk about, if somebody knew nothing about it and they wanted to start looking to buy property of any sort, what are some things they would know now and things they can start planning for in high school?
Correct. So one of the cool things that the state of Mississippi passed in this year's legislative session, you can be 18 years old and you can obtain a mortgage to purchase a home. Originally it was 21, so now you can be 18 and obtain a mortgage, which is super cool. And real estate has different levels. You have the investment side, which can be flipping homes, or you can obtain rental properties, or you can purchase a home. And the thing about real estate is it is the quickest way to build wealth. It is the easiest and the quickest way to build wealth. One of the main things that is most important is to take care of your credit. Um, if you obtain credit cards, everybody's like, you probably hear your parents say, credit cards are bad. Credit cards are not bad. You just have to use them responsibly. And if you don't listen to anything else I say, if you get a credit card, do not have your credit card to be more than your usage to be more than 10%. So that means if you have $1,000 credit limit, when it reports to the credit bureau, please do not let it report more than 10% usage, because that's how you're going to keep your credit score high. When you're dealing with purchasing homes, the first thing they look at is your credit. Your credit score gets you through the door, and then they look at your income. I always tell people to save as much as you possibly can. And a lot of times, college isn't for everyone, but you may decide that you want to go and get a trade or something like that. We need more trades. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
You may decide that you want to go and get a trade. Um, you can use your college transcript, or you can use that trade as your employment history. Typically, in order to purchase a home, you would need 2 years of employment history. But let's say, for instance, you're going to school to be a nurse. And as soon as you graduate from nursing school, you pass the nursing exam, then you get a job offer. That job offer plus the 2 years you did for nursing, that's your employment history. I always say it's better to rent than to buy. And a lot of times I want to have a huge house. You can have a huge house. However, don't start with your dream house first. You want to start with a small house, because every home is an investment. And some things I want you guys to look in and research is equity. That's the most important thing that you're going to have in your home is equity. My daughter, she's not allowed to rent. her first place. Has to be a home purchase because it's like putting 20% of your money into a bank account every month when you're purchasing a home. You're going to hear a lot of people say, oh, if you're paying money to a bank, you're renting. You're not. If you're paying a mortgage, you're basically building what we call equity in your home. And I always use this example of a couple that I've helped purchase four homes over the years. The first home that they purchased was $125,000. They stayed in that home for 3 years. They sold it. And when we sold it for $175,000. At the time, they only owed roughly about $90,000 on the house. So when they closed on their house, they made $75,000. They took that
Wow.
$75,000 and they put it on the next house. The next house that they purchased was $225,000. So because they put that $75,000 down, they were only being financed for $150,000, $125,000, right? We
Wow.
sold that house 3 years later for $365,000. They walked away with $225,000 in equity. They took that $225,000 and they put it on the next house, which was $535,000, which made their mortgage 200. I think it's like $250,000. So they had a $500,000 house. It's on 5 acres, has a pool, has a pond, is gorgeous, but their mortgage is $225,000. I ran the comps on that house for them a couple of months ago. They can sell that house right now for $640,000. If they wanted to, they can sell their house. They'll make about $400,000, and then they can buy a $400,000 house cash. So that's how you get to your dream house. You get to your dream house by, we call it house hacking. Staying in the house, taking care of it, paying your mortgage on time, building equity, move the equity to the next house. And the most beautiful thing about owning a home is that in the future, your kids, they can go to school without student loans because you can take the equity from your house and pay for their college. Or you can take the equity from their house. You may want to take a trip to Africa. Or you can take the equity from your house and you can start a business. So there are so many things that you can do with the equity from your house. You may want to take the equity from your home and invest in stocks to diversify your portfolio. They have so many down payment assistance programs. A lot of times we think we need a 700 credit score to buy a house. That is a myth. You do not need a 700 credit score to buy a house. Here in Mississippi, the average credit score you need to purchase a house and to get down payment assistance is like 640, is a 640. Some banks do a 620, but if you got a 620, you're gonna kind of have a headache. But a 640 is like is that magic credit score where you can get down payment assistance, you can get contribution towards your closing costs. So the money that you would typically pay to rent, if you go to rent a house, and I'm gonna tell you something, you go and rent a house, you're throwing away money because you are paying at least over half of what they're paying for the mortgage. So if you're paying $2,500 a month to rent a house, I guarantee you that owner's probably paying $1,250. So you're literally throwing away money when you're renting. And when you rent the house, you're typically going to have to pay your first month's rent, then your security deposit, which is equal to your first month's rent, which will probably be $5,000 if you rent the house for $2,500. You can buy a house and be out of less than $5,000. I've had clients the client I closed on last week, she brought $425 to the table. The client the week before that, $1,425 what she got back. So you can actually get money back. It's not hard at all. Just keep the same job for 2 years and just make sure your credit score stays in that 640 sweet spot, and just file your taxes and be honest on your taxes. And that's the main thing that they're going to look for. And just make sure your bank account does not go into the negative.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because getting a real bank account, having a Cash App card is not having a bank account. And I think that is
Cash App
something that a lot
card,
of young people
yeah,
don't understand. I mean,
and
Cash App has
Chime.
its place. Yeah, I mean, that has its place. I mean, I use it too. I used it last week to pay
Mhm.
some things, but that's not where
Right,
my paycheck is going every week or every month.
correct. Correct. And even when you're saving, because I do a lot about saving, even like when you get paid, just say $25, get a savings account and just put $25 every week you get paid into that account. It seems like a small amount starting off, but it is, you look back 10 years and look how much you've saved. And then Chase has this really cool thing. If you open up a Chase bank account, they also have like an investment account. You don't have to take, it doesn't take a lot to invest in stocks. You can invest $25 or $100 a month or something into different little stocks. I've started investing in things that I spend a lot of money on. I'm going to buy Apple stock because I buy all of Apple products. I got to invest in Amazon because I spend so much money at Amazon. So I started investing in things that I spend a lot. I like to fly Delta, so I started buying Delta stocks. And then, but starting out young and doing it right now will make a world of a difference when you're older.
Yeah, and I've been very vocal in saying that the opportunity was not there for a long time for rural Black
Hmm.
communities. But
Correct.
there's never been a better time to learn these things. Just because, grandparents and parents may not have had access or the
Right.
education, and this doesn't mean that they can't learn it now and really change the narrative and change the trend on how things are going. Now,
Right.
something else I want to talk about is you've owned multiple businesses, and
Mhm.
you own the largest independently owned female-owned firm in the state of Mississippi. And I
Yes.
have kids all the time. Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be my own boss. I want to
Mhm.
work for myself, and that's great. We
Right.
encourage. We've had several students that have come through Velma Jackson. I know the other schools have as well that have started their own business, even as a side hustle. But it's not just let me post on Instagram and be cute and fun all the time. All that's fine, but there's a
Hmm.
lot of more that goes into it, especially on the financial side and on the planning side. So talk about the entrepreneurship aspect of this, because you can be a great realtor without being an entrepreneur. You can be a great real estate investor without being an entrepreneur, but you do both.
Correct.
So tell
Correct.
us how what these kids really need to understand about entrepreneurship, because it's more than they realize.
It 100% is, and I will always say to go and work for somebody first. And the reason why I say that, because a lot of times we try to jump out and work in a field, or we try to jump out and try to do entrepreneurship, and we really don't understand business. So I would say go and work for somebody first and try your best to get to a management level to just kind of learn how to be a leader. And for me, I feel like my company is so successful because I am not a boss. I'm more so, I'm a leader. And when you're dealing with entrepreneurship, it is so important the way you treat people. Networking is very important. I teach classes all the time about branding and marketing. I tell people I'm from Greenwood, Mississippi. I grew up poor. I was the oldest of five kids. We lived in a two-bedroom house. All five of us had the same bedroom. And if you speak of statistics, I am not supposed to be where I am today. However, hard work, literally hard work. I get up before everybody. I am asleep after everybody. And I work. I live, breathe, eat, sleep, everything, my brand. And I learned so much working in corporate America. Like you have to learn about budgets. Your budget is very important. And also I've learned about not skipping steps. You can't skip steps. You have to be ethical. I only work around people that are ethical, and I hire everybody that I feel like are as smart as or that are smarter than me, because I like to delegate tasks, and I delegate tasks so that I can focus on other things or focus on increasing my company. We started out here in Mississippi, but we've also launched in Atlanta, Georgia. We've launched
Oh,
in
cool.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we've launched
Wow.
in New Orleans, Louisiana. And right now we're working um, on getting licensed in Texas. So, and you always have to
Wow.
have a vision. And when I look at my company, I didn't think, oh, this is going to be like a little small real estate firm. My ultimate goal is to be one of the largest real estate firms in the country. So not just in Mississippi, but in the country. And I work hard every single day, and my reputation precedes itself. I am mindful of what I put on social media. I am mindful of how I treat people. I'm mindful of how I act in public. And I know that a lot of times those things may not seem important, but it is the most, your reputation and your brand is the most important thing that's going to carry your business forward. And you're always learning. I'm always reading something about real estate. I know exactly what's going on in this industry. I know what's going on the tech side of businesses. And you just have to keep yourself educated. You always have to be willing to be a student. I have a coach. I pay my coach $3,000 a month to keep me focused and keep me sane, and just don't ever stop learning. Don't think you know it all, and do something that you're passionate about, because it's going to be sometimes you're not going to make any money. I went a whole 9 months since I've had my firm having to fund this company out of my pocket because the company wasn't making enough. So, but because I love it and I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and my ultimate goal is to bridge the wealth gap between Black and whites, and the easiest way to do this through real estate. We don't have enough African American homeowners because they think that it's out of reach. But you always say, oh, this person's, you can have a white coworker, and your white coworker, you can make the exact same amount of money, but your white coworker could be worth $150,000 and you could be worth zero. And they can be worth $150,000 because they own a home. And so that's something that we need to be mindful of. This is how you build wealth. And you can, oh my God, what if it's not 30 years? We are not our parents. We are not staying at home for 30 years. We are moving on to the next thing. And a lot of people say, well, I probably don't want to be in Mississippi for the next 5 years. So if you're going to pay $1,000, 12 times a year times 60. So that's $60,000. You need to give 60, what's this? Is that $60,000 to somebody, and you're not going to get anything from it? Or you can take that same $60,000 and invest in yourself. So when you get ready to move to Texas or New York or Florida, you have some money and a cushion to take with you versus having to save and try to come up with money. So that's one of the beauties about purchasing a house as well. Like you get a check when you sell it. When you rent, you may get your security deposit back. And believe me, I did property management for 11 years. They do not want to give that security deposit back. So you can have a one spec on the floor. They say, okay, this spec is $500. We're going to try to eat away from that security deposit until there's nothing. So please, the best thing that you can do is buy, invest in real estate. And a lot of people say everybody does not want to own a home. You probably don't want to own a home, but somebody owns where you're living.
That's a great
Somebody
point.
owns where you're living. Yeah.
That's a great, but now, and I'm glad you mentioned about the hard work because, and I use this example all the time, and I know they get sick of hearing it, but I'm a huge fan of Jasmine Sullivan. But
Mm.
she has a song that just makes me so mad, and I think it's actually insulting to entrepreneurs because she talks about, I'm just going to move to Atlanta, open a business, and be rich. And I'm like, will
Mm.
y'all please stop listening to this because it does not work like that.
Right. It's hard. It's a lot of work. And it's been difficult, and this is especially being Black. You have to be twice as good, three times as good, just to get half of the recognition. I've got more recognition on a national level than I have locally, but I am blessed to have the number of agents that I have. I'm blessed that my company, we do at least $100 million a year in
Wow.
sales. And but it just comes from, I don't care what nobody throws at me. I get up the next day and I do it over again. And so that's the thing about entrepreneurship. You just got to be willing to keep doing it. And it is okay to work your job, to have the money to invest in your business. It is okay. Don't let nobody feel like a 9 to 5 is bad. There is nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, because entrepreneurship is hard. It's hard work.
Yeah, and something that I found out is a lot of entrepreneurs are holding on to jobs just to have the steady income and just to keep the benefits. I did not know that until I started doing this. So
Yeah.
that is very common. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before I get to the students' questions is one thing, when you talk about buying a home, some things I've learned is you don't need to skimp on cost on things. First of all, I think you're absolutely crazy if you buy a home without getting a home inspection. We
Mm-hmm.
got some great home inspection companies right here in the area. And then you even have people say, well, I don't even want to pay a realtor. And that's even more dumb. So even
Mm-hmm.
though it may cost you more on the front end, it can wind up saving you literally thousands and thousands of dollars to not
Right.
only get that home inspection and to work with a realtor. So talk about why those are so important.
And that goes with anything. I am the type of person, I leave everything to the professionals. Like graphic designs, when you get your business, do not do your own graphics yourself. Hire a graphic design person, hire a CPA, because at the end of the day, it'll cost you more. And this is the thing about real estate. When you are looking to purchase a home, a lot of people say, oh, I'm just going to go to the person that's on the house. The person that's listed on the house, they work for the seller. You won't save money just by going to the person that's on the house, because what happens is in real estate, the listing agent and the seller, they sign a contract, and the seller agrees to pay X amount of dollars. I'm going to pay X amount of dollars to you, the listing agent, and I'm going to pay X amount of dollars to the buyer's agent. Regardless of what that is, the money is already in there for you to be represented. So get your own representation. I don't care what you do in life, get your own representation. Always hire your own people. Your real estate agent will guide you through the process, right? They're going to give you a list of home inspectors you can use. They're going to give you a list of, if you have to do a survey, if you have to get if you have to get a French drain, or if you have to get a foundation inspection, they have all of these resources for you. So you hire them for their knowledge and their resource. They have a host of lenders that they deal with. They can say, okay, this is probably going to be the best lender, but hey, call out 3 of these. They're going to guide you through the process, and don't think you're smarter than the person who does it every single day. I've sold personally 2,500 homes. So I know that one person can say, oh, I could do one. I know more than you. So I'm not going to use you as an agent. I'm going to use this person that's on the house because I could do it myself. And I already know the different mistakes that you're going to make. And a lot of times people are scared to buy homes because they're scared of the maintenance. But always get you a home warranty. A home warranty is like having a maintenance guy that you pay once a year, and you give him a tip to come out. And you don't have to be, oh, what if my lights go out? What if I have an electrical problem? What if I have a plumbing problem? A home warranty would take care of those issues. So don't let the maintenance of the home scare you. So I want to say that too.
Great point. Well, I do have a couple questions. This first one is Christopher Maxwell. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, what would be a good amount for me to put as a down payment for a home?
So for a lot of first-time homeowners, they use what we call an FHA loan, and an FHA loan requires 3.5%. So if the house is $200,000, that looks like $7,000. But again, we do have what we call down payment assistance, where they would pay that 3.5% for you. You also have what we call USDA loans, where if you buy a house like in a rural area, which in Mississippi, that's like Byram, Texas. Camden is a rural area. Some parts of some parts of medicine, that's 100% financing. Or if you guys decide to go to the military, if you guys got to go to the military, we call a VA loan.
Yep.
And so with that, with the VA loan, that's also 100% financing. So there are different ways where you don't have to pay a down payment.
Wow.
Even if you go to school to be a doctor or an attorney, they have what they call physician loans, where those are jumbo loans, which are also 100% financing. So again, just always speak to a real estate professional, because they know the lenders who have these resources available for you.
I did not know that about the last two. I knew about the VA loan, but that is incredible. I did not know that. I just got time for one more. This is Shania Smith. She's in 10th grade, one of our volleyball players here. And she asked, what do you enjoy most about real estate?
Yeah, I'm passionate. I am passionate about, honestly, getting people into homes, especially first generation home buyers. So for me, I am a first generation home buyer. My mom and my dad, they never owned a home. So I'm the first one to actually own a home in my family. And the joy that I see on my clients' faces when they purchase a home, and they're the first one in their family to purchase a home, it never gets old. So I'm passionate about getting us into homes. So
that is so awesome. Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for fitting us in your schedule. But before we go, a couple things. First of all, where can they get your information if they want to buy a home?
Okay, so you can find all of my social media is the same. It's Dwanna Stanley, DWANNA STANLEY, and all of my contact information is there. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. TikTok, all of it is Dwanna Stanley, DWANNA STANLEY.
Awesome. Now, before we go, again, and you mentioned about a lot of the younger generation may be scared to take that step of home ownership. So what can they start doing now in high school to plan to take that step and be prepared to be maybe the first homeowner in their family?
I would say only if your mom or dad is responsible. Like I had my daughter, I added her as an authorized user on one of my credit cards. So when she graduated from high school, she had a 750 credit score.
Wow.
just be responsible. If you're going to get like a part-time job, I would say just put some money to the side to save. And also, real estate is a very, 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 very lucrative career. So if you guys are interested in being a real estate agent, please hit me up on my social media platforms. We're thinking about doing like a couple of internships next summer. It's a
Oh,
very
cool.
lucrative, yeah, it's a very lucrative career. I mean, easy 6 figures a year. I had an agent last month. She literally last month she made $85,000 in the month of August. So it's a very,
Wow.
very lucrative career. So if you're thinking about getting into real estate, just inbox me, DM me, and I can
Yeah,
talk to
that's a
you.
whole nother conversation. But
Right,
if you're a real hustler and want to learn a business, that's something
right.
you can start the day you graduate from high school. So I'm
Correct.
with
Yeah,
you on.
18. You can take the exam at 18. Yes.
Absolutely. We thank you so much for joining us, Dwanna Stanley,
Thank
owner
you.
of the agency House right here in Jackson. So we will
Thank
talk to you
you.
soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, see you, buddy.
Bye bye.